Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Coriander, here we are, Slasher Movie Club. What's going on?
Not much. How are you?
I'm good. And
Good.
tonight we we're we're going in deep. We're going to be talking about Anthropophagus
Yeah.
from 1980. And let me just start this thing off. This movie, like, wow. That's all I'm going to say to start it off is wow. Let's see who we have in the chat, and then we'll get going a little bit. We got Neil in the chat. Never seen this one. Hoping to learn how to pronounce it first. Yeah, Anthropophagus.
That's
Miss Carter. Hey, what's going on?
hello.
Patrick's in the chat. Slasher. Oh, we have people that have seen it. As Taro saying classic sleaze. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Mm,
Dan's
right?
in the chat. Still eating Chinese New Year dinner. I'll catch the replay. All right,
Nice.
man. Sounds like
Enjoy.
a plan.
Mm.
David's in the chat too. What's going on? What's going on? And Reagan, and also Bluck is in the chat
Hello.
too.
Hey.
All right, and we've got Mr. Bones. All right. So, and before I get to
Oh
that,
man. Yeah.
I do wanna take a quick moment for you guys, for hopefully a lot of you guys that have followed the channel for a while. You know that we love so many different genres of film. We try to focus a lot on horror movies, but I do want to take a second just to say rest in peace to martial arts master Bob Wall, who passed away
Mm.
today, which was really shocking for any of you guys that aren't into martial arts movies. He was most notably in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, which is such a special
Mm.
movie to me. He was such a great villain in that. He also appeared with Bruce Lee in Way
Yeah.
of the Dragon, and he's done a lot of other things too. But there's a picture of him and Bruce and young Chuck Norris. So, anyways, he passed away today. Very sad at the age of 82. So, I just want to
Mm.
take a second to say that. Rest in peace to Bob Wall. I spent a lot of years, watching movies that he was in that he usually was a bad guy in. So, I just
Mm.
wanted to take a second to say that. Um, yes, boards don't hit back. That's right. Insane one saying R.I.P. O'Hara. Yeah, absolutely, guys. You guys know what's up. You guys know what's up.
Mm.
Um, so anyways, so let's talk about this movie, Coriander. This movie is really,
Mm.
it's out there. It is out
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah.
First of all, just give me a quick take on what you thought of this movie. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but
Mm.
just a quick take. By the way, this movie has multiple names: Anthropophagus, the Grim Reaper,
Mhm.
Savage Island, Man Eater, what the hell did I just watch, and so forth. Okay, so
Hey.
what's
That wasn't one of them.
what, what's your quick take on it?
Oh man, do I really have to give you one? I don't know
Yeah,
what to say about this movie. It's uh interesting.
it's very interesting. That's a
That's what
good
I'm gonna
word for
say.
it. You know, we have at times on Slasher Movie Club, we've traveled into dark territory. There have been times that we've traveled just on the outskirts of dark territory. I'm looking at you. Don't go in the woods. But
Oh
let, let,
no.
let me just give an overall vibe on this thing. You basically have these vacationers that are hanging out at the beach, just going swimming and so forth and so forth. And they basically get slaughtered. Okay, so
Hmm.
it's almost like this movie. I don't know. Anyways, but the bottom line is you have this group of people that go to an island, they get stranded there, and they're
Hmm.
basically picked off.
Right.
Kind of
Can I
one by
say it?
one.
Yeah. By
Go ahead.
can I
What?
say it? Yeah. By a cannibalistic serial killer.
Basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and this is an Italian movie. It has that type of vibe. If you're a fan of zombie, you might have a little bit of parallels that you get. Directed by Joe Diamanto. It it's kind of, it's got gore. Okay, it's got the gore in it.
Yes, it does.
So
Yes.
that's the good news.
That's
And
a
the gore,
plus.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the gore effects were very, very well done in general.
Yeah.
I'd say very, very well done. Um, but it's got some odd things. So first of all, what I want to ask the chat, number one, have you seen this movie? And if so, what did you think of it? And for you, Coriander, let's just talk about some of the things that worked for us and some of the things that didn't. So I'll start off with, give
Hmm.
me one thing about this movie that worked for you or that you enjoyed.
Well, like you already said, the gore. I mean, that was really good. And there's one scene that's pretty damn shocking that I've never seen before till this movie. So, yeah,
Okay.
the gore's good.
All right. All right. And we do have some notable people in this movie. We've got
Yeah.
Tisa Farrow, who's the younger
Hmm.
sister of Mia Farrow. And for again, and I already mentioned it, if you guys anyone's a fan of Zombie by Lucio Fulci, she was in
Hmm.
Zombie. And you also have some other notable people here and there. That's Zora Karova. She was in Cannibal Ferox, and also, which one was she in? The New York Ripper. New York Ripper. So, she's in it, and she actually has a nice little role. I like the scenes with her. If I was to give a positive, I would say I appreciated Tisa Farrow's performance and also Zara, because they had kind of an interesting dynamic between the two of them. Zura was
Hmm.
basically this person that was very superstitious, and she was reading cards and kind of
Hmm.
saw the impending doom of them going
Yeah,
to
she's
this
like a
island.
seer. Yeah.
Yes, like a sensitive. So they
Yeah.
had a really cool dynamic. Now let me just get to the chat real quick, and then I'll catch up on something that didn't work for you. Let's see. You guys are pretty much talking. Insane One saying the eye scene in Zombie still haunts me. It haunts me too. Yeah. Neil saying Italian cannibal slasher. You say I'm in. All right. Reagan says never seen it. And Miss Carter
Yeah.
saying I can't say I ever heard of this one. I
Yeah.
don't recall hearing about this one either. But that's the beauty of these movies, is that we get a chance to watch things that sometimes we have no idea about. Now, I also want to mention these guys were basically on a trip. They were island hopping, traveling abroad, and so forth. And Tisa Farrow comes upon them just by chance, and basically is like, "Well, hey, I was going to be going to an island too." She plays
Hmm.
Julie. She says, "Well, can I tag along with you guys and stop at this one place where my friends are?" And she's basically a nanny as well. And so you got the group that's basically like, yeah, yeah, let's do this. So that was kind of the setup. And then once they get to the island, they get stranded. And as we've already mentioned, stuff happens. Now, give me something that didn't work for you in this movie.
The pacing.
Okay. The
There was a
pacing.
lot of, yeah, there was a lot of scenes that were just way too long.
Okay. Were any particular ones that come to mind that you think were too long?
Uh, I mean, good God, the whole movie?
Jeez.
No, well, I don't. The scene when he's like chasing him up the stairs.
Hmm.
Um, there was another scene, I think, I can't quite remember, man, but there was quite a few that were just too long.
Okay. All right. Well, I think for me, the score had times during the movie where
It's terrible.
it was just kind of the wrong flavor, if I may add, because
Yeah.
once here's the other thing in the pacing, like what you were saying, if I was to get more specific, everything pre-island to me went a little too slow. I mean, you do have a little bit of setup for the story, and that's
Hmm.
fine, but things didn't even really start to get moving until they got to the island and realized they were stranded. And that's kind of when things started to open up a little bit. Um,
Kinda.
but the music, it would have moments where it was almost kind of like just these melodies that you might hear like at a carnival
Yeah.
versus you
I
know,
should be watching like trapeze people.
well, something like that. And but this is what's weird. This is why I'm saying this as a a thing that didn't work for me. But then you would have some moments, especially during some of the chase scenes, where the music would sound like it fits. You know what I'm saying? Like it
It was
would
a
be
little bit
in a
better.
horror
Yeah.
movie, you know.
Yeah.
Um and like I said, you have some of these moments, um, like with Zora, who is a seer. She's sensitive, and she's talking about there's something evil on this island. She had a really nice little dialogue where she was just kind of she was basically like the harbinger, like a crazy Ralph
Yeah.
in Friday the 13th. Those were great scenes, and there wasn't enough of that. Um, there was not enough of it. In other words, like I think with her character, they could have done a lot more with her, you know,
Hmm.
and they didn't. But the film does have an odd atmospheric thing going on. It's just an odd movie. Not that it's horrible, because it's not, but it's not as good as I wish it could have been. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, let's go into another thing that worked for you, and anything else that worked for you as far as a scene, a character, or an interaction, or a kill.
Yeah, there was one scene where they were like running from, the killer, and
Mhm.
she was like there was this chick in like this barrel of whatever it was. She came out and stabbed that
Yeah.
dude, and she's like screaming, and
Yep.
yeah. And it just reminded me of Carrie, and that was like
Yep.
one of my favorite scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna I was gonna say the same thing. This scene is actually where it started to pick up quite a bit for me. This was Rita, and she was blind, and she had been
Yeah.
hiding from the killer. Like basically on this small island, the killer has ravaged through everyone there, the
Yeah.
tourists and so forth, and she was hiding and so forth. So now you have this girl, and by the way, this is the person that Julie was coming to basic to nanny. She's basically like a nanny, and this girl is blind, so that was kind of cool, and they had a relationship. But now I'm going to get to a downside here, and then I'll get to one more downside for you. But the downside is I don't think Rita had enough presence until the end. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in horror movies, usually if you have someone that is either hurt, injured, blind, yesterday we just talked about Tommy Jarvis in Friday 4 having a kid that kind of amps up the horror and the tension.
Hmm.
I don't think they did enough with Rita in this, because she could sense the killer. She had scenes
Yeah,
where
she
she's
can
like,
smell him.
yeah, she can smell the blood and this and that, because he's a cannibal and all that type of stuff. And I just don't think they had enough of her in this movie until the end. She was pretty prominent in the end, but at that point, it was the end
Hmm.
of the movie. Do you have another thing that didn't work for you?
Um, um, well, you talked about the music, and I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
cast. I really didn't care too much about the cast.
Okay.
I just didn't, like I said, I didn't get into it really. This movie, I just really didn't get into. I didn't mind the kills. That was like the best part, was the
Mm-hmm.
kills and the gore.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
So you can
Well,
tell some, yeah.
Well, it did have one thing that we got to talk about, that scene. I mean, this is something that was
This is
absolutely horrible in
this is
this movie.
crazy.
You get to this point where Maggie, who was the pregnant person in the group, she had stayed
Yeah,
on the boat, and
which
everyone
is
else,
stupid.
well, she hurt her ankle, so she couldn't walk, but
Yeah, but they
she's
could have
she's
like helped her. There was plenty of men there that could have helped her and carried her to the house.
But they don't know how far the house is. They don't even know this island. Why would they try
I'm
to
just
carry a
saying,
pregnant woman?
I
Listen,
being
man,
pregnant, I
this
would
is what they
not stay behind. No.
well, but you got to
Mm-mm.
remember, they have no idea that this island is
True. That's right.
anything but a cool place, because
That's right.
Julie told them, "Hey, we're gonna go here. I'm meeting up with my friends, blah 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 blah. So they're just basically just on holiday. And Maggie
Hmm.
hurts her ankle, so she can't walk. So she stays on the boat with the with one of the shipmates or whatever. So there's no reason to think anything's wrong. But
I
I will
still
say
wouldn't do it.
this. Well, I'm not saying I would either, but I'm just saying in the story it makes sense. But
Right.
to me, what they should have done is someone should have stayed behind with her. At least have two people with her because she's pregnant. Plus, she's immobile. So, anyways, long story short, in the beginning, once they get to the island, she gets attacked, and we think that she's killed, but she's not because they come to this scene where they're searching for her, and they go into these catacombs, and there's all these, you know, bones and remains and all that. And by the way, again, the gore was pretty good. Well, they come upon Maggie, and Maggie is still alive, but the killer is also there. And look, I'm just going to say this as quickly as possible. He literally attacks her, he's killing her, he's a cannibal, and he takes the fetus out of her. And it's like the way
Yeah.
they
And he
showed it
eats
was,
it and he takes
yeah,
a bite out of
what's
it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the way they did it, it was like, what? I mean, and by the way, the practical effects in this were actually pretty good. And this is 1980. So I got to give them a hell of a lot of credit. Anyways, really gross
Mhm.
scene, and probably the most infamous scene, easily the most infamous scene in this movie. And from what I understand, one of the things that, it makes this movie, that cult type of status. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Um, Real quick too, in the chat, just to catch up with these guys. Definitely a little slow in some parts, but aren't they all? Well, that's true. They definitely have moments in a lot of these movies. Neil saying, getting back to some more Fulci this month. Reviews for Zombie and the New York Ripper coming up soon. All right, man.
Nice.
Very cool. We got Gore in the chat too, saying, interesting choice tonight. Not by choice, man. We just go by the book. the book, the book is the guide that tells us what we're going to be watching. Patrick saying you can't use logic in a horror film. Yeah, that is
Oh, of
true.
course not.
Oh man. But anyways, yeah, so that was obviously the scene. It was really unbelievable. But after all of that, just to give an idea of the finale, everyone's getting killed. Everyone's getting killed. And
Mhm.
it's really rough. You get to the point where you've got Tisa and also this young blind girl Rita who are on the run. Now, Coriander, this is where I started to have a little bit of issue.
Yeah, this was a dragged out scene right here, man.
Yeah. Well, they're running up these stairs, and there's like 8,000 flights of stairs, right? They're going up these stairs.
Mhm.
Now, he is a cannibal, right? He moves slow. He's obviously, whatever, diseased or whatever. He's not running. I mean, he's doing his best Michael Myers impersonation. So you can outrun him, right? Plus, he's a man. He's not supernatural. So it's time to get some weapons and all that type of stuff. And anyways, they run upstairs and they go into the attic. Now, this was a pretty cool scene because they go into the attic. He can't get into it because they bolted it. So they're just sitting
Mhm.
there waiting. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going to happen? How is he going to get in? And sure enough, there's only one way in, Coriander, and that's from above. And
Right.
man, it was a gross scene. And poor Rita, I mean, she got messed up in the scene. What did you think of this
Yeah.
scene?
It was a great scene. Like I said, I enjoyed all the kills. They made the movie.
They
So,
did. I mean, he
yeah, it
pulled
was
her
good.
head up through the roof.
Yeah.
He's pulling her hair out of her skull, and they show that her face is, soaked in blood. He
Yeah.
bites into her neck, and she is
Mhm.
gone, man. But right as he does that, Tisa Farrow, she uses the pickaxe, gets him in the leg. He falls off the roof. Now we don't know exactly how high the roof is where he fell, but anyways, long story short, he's
Well,
not
you would
dead. We
think,
know that.
right, but all those flights of stairs, holy
Yeah.
shit, you'd think it was like 8 stories or something.
Well, what we don't know is when she comes out of the house, she looks, and I don't know why she did this. I know they got to make the movie work, but she looks into like a well, and he's in
Mhm.
the well. So I'm assuming maybe he fell from the roof into the well. I mean, that's the only thing that
That's
kind of makes sense,
yeah,
because why would he
right?
be in there? But anyways, you have this scene where he's chasing after her, and again, it's drawn out a little bit. This was like this
Yeah.
was frustrating for a finale because
Mm,
it was elements of it that I liked, and I liked her in this role. She was a good character, an interesting character, but there were times when the script called for dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Like when
yeah.
she was in the well, because she looks over, he pulls her in, she's caught on a rope and she's trying to climb on the ladder. And I'm like, go use the ladder,
Yeah,
use the
she's
rope to
just
pull yourself out.
dangling there for like
Yeah.
10 minutes before she starts moving.
Yeah. But then here's the big thing. He's using the rope to pull towards her, and all of a sudden, I think it's Arnie or whoever. He was one of
Andy?
the guy, Andy,
I think it was
whoever,
Andy.
Jack, Billy, Jack, whoever. Yeah, I think it was Andy. I'm just playing. But he comes out of nowhere because he was looking to find a way to go back onto the boat. And we had actually
Yeah,
lost track of him. But he comes out of nowhere and uses the pickaxe to cut,
gets right in
right
the gut.
into his gut.
Yeah.
Now, of course, and
Mhm.
you got to love this, a little bit of his dark humor too, but they show his guts coming out. And of course, Coriander, what is he going to do with guts? He's going to
Eat
eat
them.
them. Yes. Yes, thank you very much for giving me
Oh
my own
man.
meal.
Yeah.
So
The end. They looked at each other. Those two goons just stared at each other, and that was the end. They
it was,
survived.
oh man,
Yeah.
oh Lord, crazy
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Hmm.
Oh man, Patrick saying at least Rita didn't see it. Good point. Good point. Good point. Gore saying, we all have our opinions. Sometimes they're just not popular. I think talking about movie logic, I believe. Yeah, some horror movies do have good movie logic, and some don't. There's no doubt about that. Um, and Patrick say, Gore saying this is either one of those you either like or don't like. All right,
Yeah.
I hear you. But anyways, but let's get into a couple of fun facts because there were a couple of interesting things that kind of came to my mind. The first one, obviously, we got to talk about that scene. That
A,
scene.
s- yeah. A skinned rabbit was used in the scene where the killer ripped out a fetus and ate it.
Yeah, man. That was it. Like I said, the gore effects, the practical effects were actually very good in this movie. I mean, they really
Yeah.
made these bodies look horrific, as you can see there too. The
Hmm.
next one, the rats.
The rats shown in the catacombs are a variety of colored rats named Devil or Martin.
All right, all right. And our next one, Luigi, the villain, Luigi Montefiore.
Yes, he co wrote, co produced, and portrayed the villain of the disfigured cannibalistic serial killer.
There you go. All right. And this one was a very, very interesting one. The grave robbing that happened in this movie, the real grave robbing.
Yeah. According to Joe Diamanto, some of the heads and bones in the catacombs were plastic imitations. Upon collecting them, the crew by accident took some real bones.
Oh, man. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was that scene right before the scene, where you
Yep.
saw the catacombs. And obviously,
Yep.
some of these were not real, but some of them were. Like, all
Yeah.
right, man.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But anyways, this movie, it was uneven. It wasn't horrible. It had some moments, but it had missed opportunities. This might be one of those types of movies for me because it is free. It is free on Tubi. It is
Hmm.
also available physically. And I guess there were different versions of them as well. A lot of different cuts. Like we didn't even see the scene in the movie right before stuff really starts to get out of control. We didn't even, if I'm not mistaken, let me know. We didn't even see the scene where Zora got killed. Zora, who played Carol, he slashed her throat. But as far as I know, we didn't actually see it. This was that scene right there. I don't
Mm.
remember seeing that in the version we had, but from what I understand, there's multiple. versions of this movie, different cuts and so forth. So anyways, but yeah, one of those movies, definitely one of those movies. Bluck is saying, even being free, is it worth the time? Laugh out loud. Well, we're going to get to that in a second. We are going to get to that. Gore saying, a very half-baked film, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it had
It had
missed
moments.
opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
Here's a question for you, Coriander, before we get to our so-called, scale that we graded
Hmm.
on. Do you get more frustrated by a movie that's bad? It's just a bad movie. It's just bad versus a movie that you think could have been good if they made better decisions. Which one frustrates you the most or frustrates you more, if there is one?
You know, obviously, what the hell was it called again? I can't even
Don't
remember.
Go in the Woods?
No, the one with the horse head bookends. That movie, The Breather, there.
Student Bodies.
Yeah, that movie just annoyed the shit out of me. And that it was actually kind of pissing me off, that movie. Um, but I don't know how to answer that question. When they're bad, it's not worth it. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
Even if there's some good points to it, sometimes it's still not even worth it.
Well,
You
what I
know?
mean is, let me give you my opinion on it. What I mean is to me, sometimes I'm more frustrated by a movie like this, where it could have been pretty darn good, versus a movie I just
Yeah,
hate. Sometimes I get
yeah,
more frustrated with a movie like this, is what I'm getting at, because
yeah.
you can see how certain decisions, if they were made differently, you could have enjoyed this movie, to a pretty good degree. So sometimes I get more frustrated by that type of movie versus a movie that I just hate and I don't care about. I'll never watch again. It is what it is. But movies like this can be so frustrating because it's not horrible.
Because it had potential, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
Y-
yeah.
Yep. Neil saying, yeah, with a lot of Italian films, there's always a bunch of different edited versions out there. That's very true. Very true. Gore saying, could have been. Yeah. It could have been pretty good. But let's give our idea of what we think about it. We've got our ratings here. Buy it, meaning that it's great. Rent it, meaning it's good. Maybe renting it, meaning it's okay. You could take it or leave it. And of course, there's the forget it, which means that it is not a good movie. So which one are we going with, Coriander? Which one are you going to go with?
This is tough, man, because
And I'm glad that it's tough because I really had to think about this too.
yeah. You know, uh, rent it as long as it's free.
Don't come on,
And
man. Just listen. Hold on. Let's stop. Listen,
I
I'm
can't
gonna
help
you
it because
you
I
you know what
wouldn't spend
you
money on it to
but
rent
but it
it.
but it's not a
But if
question of
it's
money. I'm
free,
gonna I'm gonna change these categories to like
you need to.
A, B, C, or D, just to make it simple. It's nothing
That
about the
might not
money.
matter though.
Yeah, it will. Rent it means that it's good.
Uh, yeah, it's
Rent it
not
means it's
though,
good.
and we all know
Okay.
that. Well,
All right.
no.
So what are you going with? You're gonna go with maybe rent it.
I guess so. I guess so.
All right. That is what I would go with too, is a maybe rent
Yeah.
it. It is free on Tubi. So it's, like I said,
So
it's not
that's
the
why
worst
it's
thing.
worth it. Yeah. The gore, it's worth the gore to check it out,
Yeah.
but it doesn't hurt to fast forward through some scenes.
Right. The beginning of it especially. I think the first 15 minutes or so, everything before the island, except the card scene. The card scene was pretty well done because Zora is
Yeah,
basically reading the future for Maggie and her baby,
kinda.
and
She didn't
and that
even
kind
really
of
tell her. You
right.
had
But I
that
mean,
other chick telling her. Yeah.
right, but she had that scene afterwards with Julie, and
Yeah, yeah.
she basically told Julie why she didn't tell her, because if she can't
Right.
see something, it means that
There's no
death is involved.
future.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Um, Patrick saying, "Forget it." I hear you. Blucka saying, "Sounds like a watch it on TV if it happens to show up." That's exactly what I would say. If it happens to be on, then hey. you
This
know,
will never be on
just check it out.
TV though, so
Well, meaning
I'm,
Tubi, like streaming, like it's available on
oh
Tubi right
yeah,
now. And if you're
right. It
bored and you want
is.
something on, yeah.
Oh,
Always give a chance or you're going to miss out on some gems. That's true. And
it's
one thing about
true.
this series is that we've found a couple of gems that I
Yeah.
think were very, very good. And and I'm glad that we
And like
go
I
ahead.
say, there's some people that probably do like this movie, and
Hmm.
to each his own, but
Yeah.
I'm certainly not a fan.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So,
and like I said, it's one of those things where it could have gone one way or the other. It could have gone
yeah.
one way or the other, and unfortunately, it just yeah,
The
it just didn't.
pacing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what really screwed it up for
How,
me.
how do you think the pacing could have been better?
And they needed more kills. I mean,
Okay,
there wasn't enough kills either.
that's a
So,
good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that they should. This is what they should have done. They should have had more kills. And it would have been probably good if they had two killers,
yeah,
because
and
it,
better
it what
music. The music was could have added so much more. But if anything, the music is like, what the hell is this shit?
well,
It
that's true
almost
too.
like took you out of it. It
Yeah,
didn't it didn't bring that creep factor at all.
right, right. Yeah. I mean, it definitely had these moments where the music just kind of took you out of it. It seemed like it was too, I don't know, happy go lucky or like I said, something that you
I
might
was waiting
hear
for the
like at a carnival.
clowns,
That yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It was like, oh wow, what's going on here? I don't know. Again, it was a missed opportunity. But anyways,
Right.
before I get to the chat as we head on out next week, we are going to be doing an episode on Next of Kin from
Yeah.
1982. So that's what we're going to be doing for next week. So for you guys that are watching, definitely see if you can check that out. I believe it's available on
I
Tubi.
think
Is
it's
that
Shutter
correct?
and Tubi. Yeah.
Shutter and okay, all right. So
Yep.
that's pretty good. So that's from 1982. It's got John Jarrett in it. It's an Australian movie. It's got John Jarrett in it. He's most notably from Wolf Creek. So I definitely want to check this movie out. It's from 1982, and I kind of see an earlier John Jarrett. So that'd be kind of cool. So that'll be for next Monday, guys. Next of Kin from 1982, and it is available. So please check it out. Let's see. Insane One saying thank you both for the review. Well, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you very much.
Right.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right.
Blucka saying these movies make you appreciate the all-time greats that much more. And we've talked about that. It's very true. Very,
Mm,
very true. It does make you appreciate them. Um,
right.
I own on DVD and Blu-ray. Where does that rate? That rates as a diehard fan.
Hey, that's great, right? Good for you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Patrick saying if Fulci had made this, everyone would become a zombie. Yeah, you're right. It's very true.
Well, see,
Uh,
this dude, he wasn't a zombie. He was just out on a boat, right, with his
yeah,
family, and he got toasted by the sun, and he got obviously delirious, and yeah, shit
yeah,
went down.
yeah. They did explain that part of it. There was kind of a flashback scene, and they showed him,
Yeah.
when he basically devoured his wife. He was going to eat his
Yep.
child. Yeah, it was it
Yeah.
was it was some rough stuff. And interestingly enough, um, he said that he wasn't very proud of this film. Um, and Luigi had said that he wasn't very proud of the
Mm-hmm.
film, but he understands, that there are people that really enjoy it. He understands there's people that have made it a cult classic or whatever. So, it is what it is. But anyways,
Right.
guys, that's about all we have for Anthropophagus, also known as the Grim Reaper, also known as Man Eater, also known as What's Going On. And I'm just joking. It,
No.
it was a missed opportunity here and
Oh,
there,
yeah.
uneven, but I did enjoy Tisa Farrow in it, and it had some good gore. So hey, that's all I can
Yeah.
say.
Right.
Gore saying good to join chats again.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, didn't think I'd miss the chat so much. It's a fun
Oh,
time, man. It's a fun
yeah.
time. You
Glad you're
definitely been
back.
missed, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We will catch you guys later when next week again, Next of Kin from 1982. So just to put that out there. So we will catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Upchurch.